but it is going to be in a collective effort from NaVi to create an upset like this. I think it will be on the back of a superstar performance from zMightys, though.
It's interesting that you mentioned, seeing players' names and how that can affect you mentally. I remember hearing Spartan talking about whenever he got into a 1v1 fight against Roy, he knew his number was up and he was going to lose that fight. And you mentioned how it could be a situation where zMightys is playing against some of these teams and how he looked up to some of these players. And do you think that when it gets to the bigger stage in Valencia, he might be the weakest? It might be one of those things that, mentally a hurdle that he has to jump over when we do get to Valencia?
I think there's going to be a lot of things as we go into Valencia that we'll be able to talk about and point out as factors that are now going to have to be weighed into the equation. It's a LAN environment all of a sudden. Now you're not playing online with different pings. Everybody's on the same even footing. Not only that, but you're going to have a crowd in front of you. You're going to be on a big stage. You're going to have cameramen right next to you. How are you able to play outside of like the comfort of your bedroom, your home, wherever it is that you play on a daily basis? Stepping out of that comfort zone, playing in some place that may be unnatural, things that a lot of these guys have been doing for a decade. Jimbo, for example, he's no shy to playing his best Halo when it matters most outside of potentially his comfort zone. Players like zMightys, I don't know if they've ever had that experience to go to LAN environments, to be able to play in front of a crowd like that for that big of money, right? There's going to be a lot of different things that come into play here. How do you tune out the noise, the things that don't matter at all, and figure out a way to play your game? Those are the ones that become champions the quickest.
And as we now load in to Oddball live fire, NaVi looking so good. They've developed so quickly into a challenger, but it's the champion they're swinging for here in the winners finals. And every time they've swung, they've been found wanting. Acend always seem to come up with the answers to any of the questions that any of these teams in Europe can raise. Is this the start of something different? Can NaVi apply the pressure when they haven't been able to do so before? We're gonna find out who can control the sandbox, Wes, who can be getting out on top and really putting down the damage. It's all about shutting down some of those hard-hitting players, the likes of Respectful and Snipedrone.
Yeah, and the storyline we haven't brought up coming into this Pro Series is if Acend just look to wash away NaVi like they did in the last Grand Finals. Are we actually looking at a multi-horse race going into Valencia, or are we looking at another potential reign of terror from Acend onto the EU scene? So there's a lot of different storylines that can come just from this series, just from this tournament. These players got to decide what storylines we get to talk about going into Valencia. And I mean, you know how bad Acend want to beat NaVi. You know Respectful still has that chip on his shoulder. He did not forget being replaced on NaVi, being dropped from that team. Although he's found himself very comfortable on Acend, they've won a Pro Series. I'm pretty sure Respectful isn't satisfied with just a Pro Series win.
And then the question is asked, Wes, all the online stuff, does it become significantly less important if some other team outside of Acend managed to win Valencia? Then is there real question marks raised that you dominated for so long, but when it mattered most, the first European LAN, you were unable to clinch up? Is there some doubts that maybe NaVi can set in here nice and early that they can carry on into Valencia?
Yeah, I think making the series interesting goes a long way for NaVi's future. So I'm excited for their potential to take a couple games like Dan talked about. If they were to win the series outright, that would be the most impressive feat. But we're in the gameplay. It looks like everybody's made it in. And Snipedrone, he's slowed it down at the start, but you can tell he's focused on achieving that snipe for his team. And already 3 dead for NaVi. We're going to see how they handle the pressure of playing from a disadvantageous position very quickly, Sherzy.
Everybody's in the lobby, but 3 players in NaVi were not wearing their seatbelts, and they were ejected into the respawn screen very quickly. Overshield about to pop here as well. And Respectful's managed to secure it for his team. NaVi still yet to be able to register a single kill so far this Oddball game, but the early engagements have gone the way of Acend so far, but that could soon be about to change with 3 dead for Acend.
Yeah, somehow Respectful just can't hit a shot with the no-scope, goes for the high precision, high reward. zMightys punishes him immediately. That overshield, it doesn't mean anything now that it's removed. The snipe, it doesn't do any damage, and zMightys finds himself 2 kills. And just like that, would look like a perfect start for Acend that could build up to an early lead here in game 1. NaVi have done a fantastic job to fight from that disadvantageous position like I was talking about, and because of it, they jumped out to an early lead.
2 down for NaVi. zMightys trying to land the body or indeed the headshot onto that player chasing. Hustled and harried though, and unable to get that jump. Locked in for his team, and he will fall. Ball now in the hands of Lqgend as he looks to rotate it over towards green, and should be able to do so successfully as the damage is there in numbers for his team. Kimbo will get eliminated. zMightys, last man standing once again, but all of a sudden, Wes, NaVi are on those staggered spawn cycles.
A triple kill in the kill feed for Sica, and when Sica starts heating up, this Acend team is probably at its best because he is one of those players that I see put up the best stats at times and potentially the worst stats on this team. So you love to see Sica having a hot start if you're an Acend fan. 6-0-2 already as the battle for Overshield ensues, and he loses the contention for that Overshield, but somehow, some way, gets away with his life for now.
What can he do then? Turn his teammates' fortunes around. Fries 1,
Jeez.
Make it 2.
Oh no.
Locks in the triple kill as well for Jimbo. Killing spree to boot, 4 dead for Acend. That's exactly what NaVi need.
The meat wave frying the members of Acend for dinner here in the EU winners finals. Jimbo, what looked like a massive opportunity for Acend there with the setup at green, immediately gets swapped on its head. Jimbo, I love the remote detonation as well. Use of those grenades that are not even in his possession, but just on the ground on respawn. A great job by him to subside the storm that Acend just threw at them.
All those kills, though, they haven't amounted to much in the end. There's 3 dead for NaVi once more. The Hornet's Nest has been rattled, but the Kings are still on top in this game. NaVi are coming for the crown. Kimbo locks down Snipedrone over towards Nest. This has to be the opportunity to break the setup. Snipe rifle in the back pocket, and Jim hits that face. Lqgend tried to get away, but a shot to the ear will be enough to put him in the respawn screen. And Jimbo is on fire right now, but can his team catch up?
Yeah, what a shot from Jimbo. Finally, somebody connects with the snipe, and it's Jimbo that hits the narrowest of margins in the headshot right there. Unfortunately, not much of a capitalization from NaVi as the score starting to get out of hand in the favor of Acend. There's not enough opportunity here for NaVi in round 1, 75 and counting, and now NaVi probably have one more push now that Kimbo's getting taken down. The respawns are staggered. It's going to be a difficult round from here on out for NaVi.
NaVi have found success breaking the setup, but holding it has been a whole different kettle of fish, and they've been found wanting in that regard. Jimbo top tower with the snipe rifle. Ball in no man's land, but here comes the overshield. Snipedrone, and immediately Jimbo recognizes that and fires one of the snipe rifle bullets into the floor. Does not want that to be utilized against him and his team, but Snipedrone opts to pick up the ball this time. Slays have gone in their favor once more, and this round could be very well going in their favor if it carries on in this manner.
It absolutely should be going in their favor at this point. Just 14 points is all they need. Here comes the last push from NaVi. They get a couple of kills though, so NaVi able to extend this round potentially a little bit longer. How long can they hold a setup? They're going to nearly need to play perfect. I know we say that often, hardly ever do we see it. However, 14 points is all Acend need, and I like this by NaVi to rotate it out to green to be able to play this ball, because the second this setup gets broken, they need to make sure Acend are not on top of that ball in order to pick up and collect these last few points.
NaVi do so well breaking the setups. They like sledgehammers going in, but trying to set up themselves, they're made of glass, it would seem. So easily does it get broken and cut open. Respectful with the ball in his hands, just looking to milk 5 more seconds. He's managed to round the corner as well. Shots in his back will ultimately finally take him down, but they only require 3 more seconds, and maybe even less than that with Lqgend, the last man standing for his team. NaVi have to play expertly here to secure round 1.
Foxy can't hit the jump. Unfortunately, the pressure from Sica is too much, but another member from NaVi there to trade it out before any ball time's really acquired. 3 points is all Acend need, and NaVi, like you're saying, need a strong setup and something they had not proven that they can give us so far here in this first round. Their setups have broken immediately, and as the ball tries to get rotated to green, you're going to see zMightys get taken down, and this could be where it's all over. The ball does get played. That's a great job by them, but they have to reposition quickly to compete for that ball by the middle, and Snipedrone is on a perfect flank.
And NaVi could no longer wish and could no longer contest for that overshield, so having such little time to play with, just further compounded the misery that they had. Round 2 now is underway. Acend secure round 1 and are very close to securing game 1.
We'll see if they're able to repeat the same formula here. Remember, Acend had such a strong start to round 1, but NaVi shut it down. It made me have some hope for NaVi, but it wasn't the setup breaks that was the problem. It was the setups themselves for NaVi. They do get a majority of the kills to go in their favor at the start, but it is still going to be a contested ball. Overshield is going to be coming up here shortly. And Kimbo in a solid position here now with the S7 to try and make a play. We'll see if NaVi can get an overshield and potentially turn that into a realistic setup.
You can see Kimbo getting a little bit itchy. There's nowhere to stick or twist. Sniper rifle in his back pocket if he should look to use it here. You can see information is coming to him. He's traversed almost the complete entirety of the map, but unable to find anybody to use a sniper rifle on. Yet to find a victim, but Jimbo has managed to do that for him. Sica, last man alive for Acend, and that should mean semblance of control here. But now we need to see NaVi do what they couldn't do in the entirety of round 1. That's finally hold the setup.
We need to see this F7 being put to use. I believe it's in the hands of Kimbo still. So if we can hop on board with Kimbo, can he make some plays to keep this setup alive? They're going to have a ton of pressure, especially after losing to Foxy. And just like that, Respectful, he takes down the S7 player in Kimbo. And that's 3 dead. Make it 4 dead off a triple kill from Respectful. Who else other than Respectful to break the first setup of NaVi? It was 22 points they were able to acquire. But in my opinion, in that situation, you want to have a little bit more than just 22. The ball doesn't even get played. So now Acend are going to have that S7 in hand. They're going to have ball towards green, and they're going to have an opportunity to tie this one up shortly.
NaVi were in the driver's seat, but they've handed the keys straight back to Acend, and it's already been in the ignition, ready to go, and overshield about to pop. And zMightys, what can he do? The Dutchman now faced with Sica. Is he able to clamber up and get that overshield? No, he's not, but a teammate is on hand, but they've all gone down. Kimbo, the last man, but overshield for Snipedrone now, and Jimbo recognizing that he's in a world of hurt. Big trouble, first kill secured. NaVi on the ropes again in round 1, or round 2, excuse me.
On the ropes here in round 2. Like you're saying, the ball being rotated back tower. This is a perfect position for Snipedrone to be in, to just get so much information. Spots multiple players outside towards the Brute Hall, and that's a difficult spot when you're spotted to try and push through. Jimbo is going to be spawning up over towards Elbow, but immediately look at the awareness from Snipedrone to check Elbow just on time before Jimbo can make it up. And because of that, he's going to have the damage advantage here onto Jimbo. He's able to get that kill, and trades efficiently going in Acend's favor once again. NaVi need to figure out a way to break this, and unfortunately it's so difficult when you're getting spotted when the timings are perfect like they were for Acend there. 43 seconds, excuse me, required now. Oh, and Jimbo finds the skull of Sica once more and sends him into a spinning backflip. Incredible shot from him. Did he get to pop the shields on the Lqgend? He did the second time of asking, but so much pressure being applied, and ultimately it has been telling. As he falls, ball will get played. They have managed to close the gap here, Wes, but it's just not been significant enough. These setups, they just don't last for one round of slays even, right? Every single time NaVi have the ball, they do such a poor job of getting the first kill. And what that first kill does to relieve so much pressure that allows your ball carrier to pick that ball up and continue its time. Something that NaVi are really going to have to try and master as they go into Valencia, because as of right now, it's a masterclass from Acend on the setup breaks. They're able to get the first blood every single time. And with that, it's just playing with an advantage at all times. Respectful does get that overshield. Unfortunately, Kimbo can't quite land the root grenade in time to deny that. A great repulsor to keep his shields. But now you're having to deal with a little bit of overshield in Respectful's hands. Not only that, you're down almost 25 seconds to make it 26. And Respectful wisely just baits the ball and extends the lead for Acend. Where's the information coming? 4 dead for NaVi now. Ball rotating towards garage. Would not be surprised to see it rotate towards green if the information comes through. It's going to be Jimbo and 2 Foxy. And the play is going to be out towards dummies. Kimbo comes out towards dummy door and out through the key door and gets one more kill. That will force Acend to play accordingly. But expertly, Respectful has managed to pick up that ball, scoop it up and bring it towards tower. How has he been able to get away with that? Yeah, we've seen great rotations so far throughout these first 2 rounds out of Acend. Somehow, some way, they've been able to have their ball carrier slip through the hands of NaVi, and because of it, it's just awarded them so many points. 99, make it 100, and Acend able to acquire those last final points, making it 2 very lopsided rounds towards the end. Although they were highly contested rounds in the middle of each one of those rounds, Jersey, at the end, we really saw Acend run away with both of those rounds. Something that worries me for NaVi is just maybe not having enough strategy behind their game, enough of being on the same page and implementing whatever strategy they want to as of yet. You can see that they're almost there though, right? Like, although it was a very lopsided affair, when you see 200 to 86, when you see the individual score lines at the end of those rounds, it was really 2 setups that gave Acend that significant amount of time. So you can't let that happen, one. But the score's a lot closer if you're able to hold a setup of your own at any point in time in the game, which NaVi was not.
Something that Dan often talks about, Wes, is these winning game types not being... he does talk about optic winning quite a lot. He does. That's definitely something he's been guilty of. But he talks about how, the game types probably didn't suit NaVi, and he gives that excuse quite often. And I'm hearing it all too often, it has to be said, when they play against Acend. Oh, this game type didn't suit them, and this game type and this map didn't suit. But at some point, you have to play the maps that are in front of you. But time and time again, they are found wanting.
Yeah, I don't read into the map mode combo statistics as much as everybody else, I think, does from the analyst side. I, as a player, never thought of, hey, I'm really strong at this game type or this map mode combo. I did think that there were ones that I didn't want to play, but for the majority of the time, it was, as long as I'm playing well as an individual or our team is playing well, we all know how to play this map mode or whatnot specifically. I think more so it's about everybody being on that day, or everybody being ready to win games against some of the best in the world. And you don't get that from everybody every single series, unfortunately. That's why you see teams inconsistently go through different placings or different flows as far as your positions against other teams. Something that can completely flip the story and the narrative on its head, though, are new map mode combos, because I think that those are the opportunities that you have to define what meta is and to really expose teams. So to be able to see a map like Catalyst Slayer in game 2, that gives me a lot of hope for NaVi's potential to potentially get in front of the meta and define what the meta is on this map. Those are the moments where you throw in a brand new map mode combo that you'll see teams, I feel like, benefit from a series layout, because maybe not everybody has as much practice on this. Maybe not everybody is under the same understanding of how this map mode is supposed to be played. I feel like the ones that have been here for a long time, everybody should know how to play that at the highest level and what the right play is compared to what the wrong play is at times.
Game 1 was so dominant for Acend, and for NaVi, make no mistake about it, they're the underdogs in this series, and they have got to win this Slayer here to have any real hope of bouncing back in this series, because it does not get much better after this. Will the new map, the new game mode here, will it offer up some inconsistencies and strategies? The early slay is going in favor of NaVi this time, and 4 dead right off the rip, 4-1 the score. That's the kind of start that NaVi needed.
And look how quick Jimbo got to the enemy base. I mean, he had to have immediately sprinted across and just hope that his teammates could stall the overshield fight as long as they could. That's what I'm talking about right there, Jersey. That is a starting strat that gives them so much opportunity because they choose to overextend. Jimbo is on a tear right now at 4-1-0, but not only that, but he is given the opportunity for them to secure overshield, map control, sword, you name it. Jimbo is given his teammate, and that's because NaVi have come up with this starting strat that worked perfect to the T.
Jimbo had a really good game 1 despite going down early. Game 2, he has started off nice and hot once more, 1 kill shy of a killing spree. Can Mighty start to match that and really drive his team on here? A couple of his teammates have gone down. That has eaten away the lead they had so far at the start. Jim and Mighty's will look to play this Ivy side together. A couple of shots for Respectful. He will back down, but Respectful looks for more, biting off maybe more than he can chew. losing a couple of teammates in the process. Snipedrone has fallen, but Jim will join him. It's 11 kills to 8 here. ZMightys is in trouble getting cross-mapped, but he should find safety and solace here on the Ivy side.
Is able to stay alive and keep map control for his team. You can tell they want to be aggressive, but unfortunately Jimbo's going to get caught off here, and looks like NaVi are going to be flanked. And are they going to expect this many members? They're going to have multiple members down low, but the teamwork does come through. But it's going to be trades efficiently going into Ascend's favor. When you have that height advantage, you can bet that you're probably going to be able to trade through. Great shots from Jim to flank the flankers, and now that he's been able to pick up that kill, he's 6-2-3. He's going to be re-aggressed, and unfortunately he doesn't expect Sica to be there with the sword, and that's going to be an easy sword kill as he was distracted. I feel like you have to figure out a way to set the tone, create the pace if you're NaVi, and that's a much easier thing said than done. But so far so good. They are still up 1 kill, but it was a phenomenal start, remember, that NaVi had. So for Acend to just be down 1 kill at this time, that is something that they would be very happy to know after the start that they've had. Now the battle for the second overshield and whatnot is going to take place, and that could dictate how this game goes, because I feel like if Acend get 4 dead with some power on the map, this could get ugly.
It's got to be so frustrating for NaVi. The perfect start, and then they find themselves now in the mid game, and they look beside them, and Acend are right here once more. Those mistakes that they've made, it might have only been a couple, but it's enough to open the door for Acend to pass right the way through. Skewer now in the hands of Respectful, will not be found by those initial denial nades. zMightys soars out front base, but ultimately is going to pay the price because of it. But it gets traded out. It remains a 1 kill game. Kimbo's in trouble though, the latest victim of Acend. Another skewer shot will be a swing and a miss, but Respectful on hand with the battle rifle to lock that one in for his team. It's back and forth once more, but Acend are in the ascendancy once more as they take the lead.
Yeah, allowing Respectful to get that kill is something NaVi can't afford right now. And just like that, Acend now up 3 kills with a ton of map control. You can tell how standardly we are seeing NaVi on their back heels under pressure throughout this entire game too. So far, Sica is setting up perfectly for this overshield to be able to grapple it to himself. Look at that, he's found a skewer next to him on the ground. Chooses not even to pick it up because he's got sword and grapple to play around now. And if he wants to be aggressive, this could be a very dangerous moment for NaVi. He doesn't even use the sword in the melee battle, able to find the first pick, and the rest of Acend you can see are pushing the left side of the map. Here comes Snipedrone and Lqgend from the side.
NaVi recognizing they're in big trouble trying to find escape routes, but they've been headed off at the pass. Acend ensure there will be no quarters here. Straight to your death. zMightys in a long-range battle with the player that he did replace, and he does lose out on this occasion. Respectful finds the shots as he so often does.
Finds the shots, does get taken down, but now NaVi need to figure out a way to trade some kills in their favor. 25-33, all of a sudden it's an 8-kill game. NaVi starting to pick up the pace here though. Just looking at Kimbo's screen, you can tell that they're on the hunt. That's a good sign. You never want to be on your back feet. Unfortunately, it's suspected the push is immediately met with a grenade from Lqgend, and that's an easy kill to relieve a lot of pressure on the map for the side of Acend.
NaVi went on the hunt, but will they be hungry by the end of this game? A 10-kill lead now for Acend. Sword in the back pocket, too foxy with the repulsor play. Spots that one out, ensures he will not fall victim to the sword. Is that the opening they need now to descend on this base? Sica backs up immediately, puts the brakes on, puts it into reverse. Kimbo has to apply pressure, has to move forward. zMightys picks up 2 in the feed. Make it 3. They're right back in this.
Hunt down Lqgend, figure out a way to kill him. Lqgend's able to trade. You don't want to trade when you've gotten the first 3, but the job is done pretty solidly. It's a 6-kill game all of a sudden. Overshield's coming up. There's no way Acend should be able to get this one, you would think. After just coming off respawn, NaVi should be in favorable position to acquire some of the power that just respawned. And just like that, they're able to, on the back of a zMightys killing spree, potentially get overshield, but a great job by Acend to position themselves to compete for this overshield. And they do more than compete for it, Jersey. They actually get it themselves. That's very unfortunate for NaVi. Just the timing doesn't come through. The right aspects, the right angles weren't taken by the entire team. And because of that, this game is going to be a lot more difficult to win now that Snipedrone has removed the overshield from the equation of NaVi's win conditions.
NaVi put a lot of resources into trying to secure that overshield, and they needed it. But ultimately, the bait that Acend needed, zMightys now, what can he do to propel his team forward now as he finds himself and indeed the rest down by 5? Sica on the brute nades will get taken down to half shields, but nobody on hand as of right now to secure that kill for his team. It's a little bit of a standoff. Both teams recognize the next mistake could be deadly here.
Respectful trying to bait them into the push, and he does just that. Rips the head off of 2 Foxy with the skewer. An unnecessary headshot. And another one on the zMightys. Respectful can do it with the S7. We've seen it throughout his career. He's showing you that the skewer, very similar to that sniper-esque precision, and because of that, finds 2 very nice kills, extends the lead, and now all Acend need is 4.
Couple of shots paved the way for Respectful to move up through the brutes. 2 Foxy will shut him down though, but not for long, as ultimately he gets traded out. 3 kills required for Acend to lock in game number 2. Kimbo on the main ramp puts a couple of shots, and that will back down Sica. Snipedrone's in big trouble. I'm stepping out of line here also. Ultimately they retreat. They know it is NaVi that need to come to them. The traps are starting to be set. zMightys might be about to step into it. Respectful and Lqgend lock in 2. It's only a 1 more kill now, and Kimbo's going to be the victim. It's 2-0 to Acend. What a comeback, and what a lead they ended up having in the end, 50-41.
Yeah, it's tough. NaVi did so much right at the very start, but it was from just the start on that Acend really started to capitalize. Right as soon as that overshield gets wasted away, Acend was the aggressive team, and with that aggression, you are able to take space, angles, opportunity away from your enemy team. And Acend are some of the best, especially I think they're the best in Europe at doing that. And I mean, on the back of a performance from Lqgend, Sica with 11, 5, and 5, that's a massive statistical performance from him as well. Everybody on Acend starting to click. You could see that the pace was once again just too much for NaVi there. NaVi playing a lot of that game 2 on their back heels.
You rightfully speak about how successful they were in the early game in the Slayer Catalyst, and indeed Oddball Livefire, they had a very good start, Wes, but they find themselves towards the mid game allowing Acend back into the game. They play very reactionary, and they're not trying to dictate the pace. They're not being allowed to, for sure. So there's definitely some things for them to work on heading into Valencia. That there's some things they need to iron out on, because they're getting the best of the early engagements, but they let their foot off the gas, or they open the door for Acend. And when you do that against the caliber player you're playing against, you're in big trouble.
Can't hesitate, right? I think it's a little bit of hesitation in NaVi's game where they maybe get the round of stays where they get 4 dead. Overshield's coming up in the middle of the game. You're down 6. It's winnable at that point, and not everybody sets up for that overshield correctly. You don't quite know where Acend are spawning. Maybe you're just not used to the map mode combo as fine-tuned as you need to be in order to secure that overshield. But for that overshield to be highly competed against from Acend, and for them to actually win the battle, which what I would think was from a favorable position, NaVi are going to have to figure out ways to continue momentum, to not hesitate, because in a fight like this series is, you can punch somebody in the face, but the fight's not over, right? You land good blows, but the second you second guess yourself, but you create an opening for them to catch their wind, that's when Acend strike.
And now our attention's turned to King of the Hill on Streets, and something that we've seen NaVi struggle with in the past, and we've seen how good Acend can be on this map. Are we now looking at a very quick 3-0 clean sweep, very much the way grand finals went last week, or do you think there's hope here still for NaVi to bounce back in the series?
I don't think in this series. I think NaVi are showing too much hesitation, like I was saying. I think that they're going to have to regroup. I do think they have it in them to compete better against Acend, to potentially take games and potentially a series even at that, but they're going to have to be in an all-time confident high in order to do so. Right now, I'm not seeing that confidence yet in this series. Why? I can't tell you. That's a individual case basis where these guys are going to have to have the right personality and mindset in order to step on the throats of their enemies, right? They have to have a little bit of viciousness in them. Right now, I'm not seeing a lot of viciousness out of NaVi. Acend, they're the most vicious team in the EU, and why is because when they have control, they don't let you breathe. They want to suffocate you until it's over. So I expect Acend to use these first 2 games as that momentum to build confidence in themselves and to continue the performance that they put on.
Now, you spoke about before we jumped into Slayer Catalyst how the new maps and game modes, you know, there's different questions to be asked. The teams aren't as practiced, so perhaps some of these game types come down to more of a coin flip. And now we're heading into map number 3 with it being King of the Hill. That's going to be a new one for both these teams to get the grips with very quickly, indeed, for any of the ambitions they have going forward. But does that now almost the same logic apply here for NaVi, that if they can get a couple of hills before Acend, if they can have that hot start, because we can see a good start in King of the Hill can mean you secure the first one. So is that something that they need to do right from the get-go?
I think it's important for NaVi to take a game in some of these series from Acend going into Valencia. And I think even if they win game 3, this is an uphill fight, obviously, in this series. If they rematch each other in the grand finals, I really want to see NaVi take at least a game, maybe a couple of games, a little bit closer score lines. Goes a long way for NaVi's ability to have that confidence that I'm talking about going into Valencia. You need to figure out ways to get small wins where you can. Even if you're not winning the series, show me that you can compete, that you'll battle, and then come LAN, where NaVi is always vocal about how they're a better LAN team than they are online. I have hope that that'll be an extra boost of confidence. But for Acend, if they just 3-0 NaVi last week, 3-0 NaVi in the winners finals, 3-0 NaVi again in the grand finals here today, that is only going to do wonders for Ascend's confidence going into Valencia and what we could see and showcase as the coming out party of the new dynasty here in Europe.
Will Acend remain and reign supreme and punch a clean sweep ticket into grand finals? Or can NaVi finally make it a competitive series? They've been successful in scrims at times, but when it's come to the competition, when it's mattered, they've been found wanting. They've one more chance, one more swing at the king before that happens, or they will be heading to the lower finals. They've got to do it here on Streets, and it's been a proven ground for Acend on more than one occasion.
4 dead for Acend. NaVi with a great start here and now. They've started game 1 and game 2 off with great starts. What do they decide to do with it? Let's see if they're able to continue to push numbers into their advantage. They've secured rockets. Unfortunately, only one of them now in the chamber to work with, but an early lead goes a long way, and I love the fact that Kimbo's able to find the first pick. Unfortunately, it's immediately traded back, but good damage onto a second player. You really want to see NaVi be able to capitalize on that damage, and we'll see if they're able to do so now.
2 dead for NaVi. Acend with 3 up, but only for a moment. NaVi go down once more, starting to get staggered as they desperately try and play for the hill. Time can get away from you so quickly. You feel like you have to be proactive with every single spawn. You hold forward, and sometimes to your own team's detriment. Sacrificing some time can be the way forward. Respectful though with a backstab, but he's going to be faced with 2 members of NaVi here. 2Foxy tries to escape. Will do so successfully, but they have to clear Respectful out of tires. They've done that now. NaVi starting to score once more, but Snipedrone steps into the hill, looking to make a real fight of it. Fighting tooth and nail for every inch, for every second, but it's NaVi coming out on top at the moment.
A great job by NaVi to stay alive there. Whichever player was no shield on those pillars does a phenomenal job of bob weaving, sliding across, and just buying time for the rest of NaVi to show up. Because of that, look at the amount of time they already have on this pillar's hill. A great stick as well from Kimbo. Great grenades come through. A couple easy kills from that grenade damage are going to benefit NaVi very much so here early on, and they're in a prime position now to score this first point. They've secured this second set of rockets, or at least they looked like they were going to. Mighty's opts to get stuck in a BR battle bottom middle, and we'll see how costly that death is.
3 dead for NaVi, but they have managed to take the lead in the game. 4 dead momentarily. Rockets picked up for Acend, who looked as though they'd sacrificed hill number 1 to secure map control. What can he do now with the boom box over the shoulder? Snipedrone picks up one onto zMightys. He will fall. Victim as many have before him. And already Acend have made inroads into that second hill. Big numbers being put in. Damage being dealt once more. 2 Foxy and Kimbo fall. And the C hill is in danger now of being a complete clean sweep without the hill player even taking damage.
It's because those rockets got secured. It was easy kills for Snipedrone, and the rest of Acend, they did their job as well. And that's a very quick point, as quick as it gets for the side of Acend to tie this one up. So now that NaVi have had a strong start, Acend have been able to rebound here on that second point, and we'll see how point 3 goes. Looks like NaVi are going to have the opening opportunity to potentially control this one. If they can block spawns over towards Cafe and PD, this would be phenomenal. But I believe there's a player in back PD. There is. They need to flush him out. It's Sica. He gets killed by 2 Foxy. And now something we didn't see in Oddball that we need to see from NaVi is a strong setup hold in order to acquire this 3rd point.
Jimbo has to drop down out of tires forced that way. Grenades have done the damage there. Splash damage out the window, and he's forced isolated down in tiles, but he's managed to team nade Kimbo at the same time. And it's hard enough when Acender's shooting you. You don't need your teammates grenading at the same time. That's for damn sure. But they managed to control the hill, but not for a very long time, as now Acend have full map control. It's going to be a cafe hit for NaVi, but Sica somehow manages to escape his life with the help of that drop shield, but not for long, as 2 go down. NaVi need to really apply pressure here.
Need to figure out a way to capitalize here. Not a strong setup once again from NaVi, but still hope for this stronghold. There's 1 in PD, and you got to clear that out before trying to stand in that hill. And unfortunately, Kimbo makes the mistake of trying to get some of that time acquired, and because of it, now 2 Foxy by himself back tower. He's got a bulldog to work with, but only a bulldog, and multiple members from Acend are not going to be enough for 2 Foxy to deal with. Right now, the push from NaVi is so important to figure out a way to get 4 dead, right? You need to clear out this entire back area, because Acend will continue to spawn either in PD or Cafe if you do not figure out a way to control both.
Something that's really impressive is Sica currently sitting on 1 kill, but also has 10 assists, so he's been involved in 11 fights right now for his team. Not too worried about putting down the damage, but just like that, Acend go 4 dead, and how they would have needed some extra slays to stay alive there. But Jimbo now gets the information to push forward for his team, and he's done so, and caught Sica unawares. 4 fresh shots into the dome of the Frenchman. Snipedrone eyed up this time, but Jimbo bites off more than he can chew this time around, and that could open the door for Acend to break this setup once more.
If you're NaVi, you're very happy about Sica having 1 kill. These are the games you need to win. The ones where Sica does not pop off in the statistical category. You got to figure out a way to manifest probably this second point or this 3rd point here. Unfortunately, respectful, just doing everything he can in the back of PD, finding a nice double, and as rockets are coming up, they could dictate how this mid game goes, how this 3rd point goes. I don't think Acend is going to be able to acquire this point before rockets come up, but if plays go in Ascend's favor, it's almost going to guarantee this point. And here come NaVi, and here comes the push.
NaVi desperately trying to stop it. They've done so successfully. Mighty's with the rockets has managed to pick up 3. Sica eyed up for the 4th. It's 4 dead momentarily. Lqgend the first one to spawn up. But can NaVi now get the time they need? Acend are not going to get there quick enough. NaVi retake the lead. 2-1 now the score.
2-1, and a great job by NaVi to set up for those rockets. They didn't worry about the point. They got the slays because of the rockets, and look at that. They're up 2-1. The first really highly contested game, I would say, in the mid game right now for these 2 teams. NaVi looking at their first lead in any of these games so far, this far of the match through, and if they can acquire this 3rd point, that would give them so much momentum to try and close this game out. Kimbo in such a pivotal position here with this bulldog shotgun as well, needs to be able to find a kill now that he's lost a teammate. Unfortunately, he's got so many members of Acend trying to push him, and it's up to 2 Foxy, all 4 dead. So NaVi once again have a full setup around this hill. Maybe not as comfortable, or maybe not as strategized as they need to in order to have success there. They go a clean wipe in Ascend's favor.
NaVi did manage to amount a lot of time before that setup got broken. It was successful to a degree, but Acend have very quickly started to close the gap already on that time. 2 go down for Acend, so NaVi are threatening to break the setup once more. They need to get these round the slays. Lqgend has gone down. And NaVi now turn their attentions to the hill, starting to score again. Acend have one more push. The Slaves have to go in their favor, and with Snipedrone hitting 4 shots like that, it's exactly what the doctor ordered. But can he stay alive with 2 Foxy applying the pressure? The answer is no, and that will mean NaVi now put distance between them and Acend. 3-1 the score.
Job well done from NaVi. Rockets are coming up in this bottom middle hill. You don't even need to end the game here, but I mean, it would be a beautiful win for NaVi here to be able to win in 4-1 fashion. Unfortunately, nobody from NaVi really secured those rockets, even though it looked like they were in a favorable position to compete for them. Because of that, Acend are going to get right back in that middle hill. And if you're NaVi, what I was saying as far as maybe not needing this hill, what you want to do here in the bottom middle hill is make sure that as much time on the clock goes off the clock before this hill is over, right? If you can stop Acend from milking this hill, even if it's neutralized, every second that's going off the clock when someone's not in the hill benefits you with the 3-1 lead.
This bottom middle hill so often becomes no man's land. It's when you step inside it, grenades, gunshot, they all rail and rain down upon you. And that is why we're seeing the clock get eating away at now. And perhaps NaVi do employ that tactic of just playing Slayer. Kimbo has rotated in towards C, and his intention will solely be to apply damage to anybody stepping inside the hill. The call has come. It is Acend who have to make the moves here. NaVi have put themselves and maneuvered themselves into a position now where they just have to play Slayer and keep them out of the hill.
Yeah, look at that. A minute's off the clock since this hill moved into the bottom middle hill. And I love this position by Jimbo. Everyone pay attention. If this hill is bottom middle and you are in a significant, well, either actually, if you just want to control this hill at all, I feel like Tram is the place to control. You have so many different angles, whether it's brutes, whether it's top balcony, whether it's this opening door, and you can use these back flowers as a heck glitch. You give so much opportunity to at least keep the enemy team out of the hill. That's exactly what Jimbo's job there, and it's a job well done because there's a minute and 7 seconds on the clock. He's finally taken down, but the rest of NaVi finding the kills they need to keep Tram control in their favor. And look at that, another player in ZMightys is already back there in order to make sure that someone is controlling this location.
50 seconds then for Acend to not only control this hill, but they need the next one without losing too much time either. NaVi appear to have done enough, barring a miracle. They will take game number 3 and extend this series to at the bare minimum a game 4. Because Acend do not look like they were able to put together enough of the pieces to ask the questions. But having said that, Kimbo's last alive in the tower, just trying to apply all the pressure they can here, Acend, but NaVi have all the answers.
This is where it gets harder to get them out of the hill. You can tell they're trying to fight from the tower position, but Slays are going to go in Acend's favor, and just like that, Snipedrone jumps in it. But a good job by 2 Foxy and Kimbo to flush him out. 2 Foxy now the last guy alive, but look at that, 20 seconds jersey on the clock, and Acend need 2 points. It's almost undoable at this point. As long as we see NaVi acquire kills or force them out of the hill, they will win this game. And I love this from NaVi. They've almost perfectly executed this middle hill. What looked like some times where they lacked strategy throughout this game, this looks like they know what they're doing. With the triple kill from 2 Foxy, he's starting to warm up, and what a better time to do so, because a reverse sweep, it starts with the game 3 win, and that's exactly what NaVi have done.
NaVi take that game 3, then extend this series. They've done the bare minimum ways of what we asked them, make this series competitive, and they have taken a map for the first time in a very long time.
Yeah, it's not the same story as last week, which is important, right? If we want to talk about NaVi's incremental improvements, you got to perform that way. You have to be able to point to where they improved. They got 3-0'd. It was a wipe in the grand finals last week. This time around, with a little bit more practice, you can tell they've been able to manage a win, and it's off the back of a superstar performance from ZMightys, right? 27, 16, and 12. I'm not calling him a superstar yet, but if he can consistently put up numbers like that against Acend, he may just as well be. That is a monster performance by him. Everybody on the team doing their job, and that's why that win was so lopsided in their favor.
You spoke about capitalizing on games where some of the Ascend rosters have some of those slower pace games, and Sica, although he done the damage, Wes, he only got 9 kills and 21 deaths. Now you can account to the amount of assists he put up, and that'd be a fair argument, but ultimately we're used to seeing Sica get the slays and the assists at the same time, and he had one of those off games there, and like you say, you have to punish Ascend when they do that.
Yeah, when someone on Ascend is slacking, you have to capitalize, right? Because there's going to be those games where they pick it up and where one of them pops off. It's all about making sure you win the games that are winnable in that sense. You have to capitalize. You cannot have a bad game when someone else on the other team is having a bad game. Those are the ones that you have to figure out a way to win. And NaVi do just that. And I mean, it's off the back of having a stellar performance from an individual on your side as well. So hats off to Mighty's there for being the newcomer, for creating enough of an opportunity for NaVi to stay in this series. Now it's going to have to be a team effort to get there, right? Someone else, it can't just be Mighty's with that one massive performance every single time, because that's just too much weight on his shoulders right now. You need to see someone else step up and have a statistical performance that matches that on the side of NaVi if they want to stay in this one and push it to game 5.
This game 4 is going to be Strongholds on Recharge. This is actually a very exciting one to watch because it's one that NaVi have struggled in the past with, but have found recent success, and all of a sudden Ascend, this is another one of those game types. Anytime they play Strongholds, they're very, very strong. So we could have a very evenly matched team match here between these two sides, which is something that we haven't seen for a very long time. So we could all of a sudden be seeing that game 5 if NaVi find and put together the right pieces.
We could, but it's going to be on the back of NaVi's ability to, when they don't have control, how quickly can they regain? How quickly can they come off spawn and figure out a way to get a trade in a position where Ascend are at the advantage? So often do we see Ascend get 4 deck, get a trip cap, and continue to push it, similar to that Cloud9 play style where they almost smother you, they split spawn you, they don't allow you to play a 4v4 game for about half the time. NaVi have to come up with a solution in order to stop that from happening, to slow that down, to at least come off spawn and be able to help each other out and to stop the bleeding at those times. If they can do that, they have a chance in this series to push it the distance like we're talking about.
And it's actually a really interesting point you raise about Ascend, because that is something that they've been very good at. It can be very competitive in the start and the mid game, Wes, but when Ascend finally do get that control, they're one of the best around at making sure that they keep you on, like you say, those staggered spawns, and they keep applying pressure, and they almost make you play desperate and bait the hills, and you're just putting in their hands at that stage. You know, they can keep setting those traps. So how important is it for NaVi to not get involved in that tussle whatsoever and make sure they can keep in the game long before then?
Yeah, I mean, it's pivotal. It's vital for their opportunity here. They need to figure out a way to gain some momentum, to keep some momentum in their favor. Where they lose fights on one side of the map, they have to be winning them on the other. They have to figure out ways to trade. If you go all 4 dead, at least get a few kills in your favor to release some of the pressure that's going to be on you coming off respawn, right? I think that's so important. When you go 4 for 0 at times, that's when it gets ugly. That's when it gets at the scariest moment where, hey, I know I'm about to spawn and I'm going to be by myself, and I'm going to have about 3 members with grapple, better grenades than me, potentially the shock rifle, the sword, you name it. It's a weapon upgrade. And I've got to figure out a way to find a nade one shot to get a kill, or at least to buy enough time to where somebody on my team gets a more favorable opportunity to stop the snowball effect. We'll see if NaVi can accomplish that, but Ascend are some of the best in the world at performing that strategy. So it's much easier said than done.
The series currently sits Ascend 2, NaVi 1. Game 4, Strongholds Recharge. Do NaVi have even more in the tank to push this series a distance to a possible game 5 and question the reverse sweep? It has to be done here and now, and they have to shut down players like Snipedrone. Eyes and ears as he immediately goes straight for the shock rifle.
Yeah, you know Snipedrone's going for that shock rifle. What does NaVi give him as far as an opportunity to go to work with this, as he's able to transfer over B? He doesn't quite get out of the stronghold though, so a player actually doesn't expect him to be here. A poor grenade is exactly what you wanted to see on the side if you're a NaVi fan, and Snipedrone actually takes about half of his shield from himself, and all of a sudden they are able to flip the map because of it. It's an A and B setup now for NaVi. What looked like a very strong start from Ascend. Snipedrone decides to stay in the back of B with that shock rifle, and because of it, NaVi somehow get the better of the situation.
In games 1, 2, 3, and 4, It is NaVi who have had the better of the starts, but they have always opened the door for Acend to bounce right back. Can they shut that door once and for all here in game 4? A and B in their control, but Acend now starting to turn A for themselves. It's 2 Foxy who's in a bit of trouble position bottom tower. Shock rifle in hands, 1 to the chest will not be enough. C getting converted for NaVi. They're ensuring that when they lose 1, they're trying to rotate accordingly.
They're able to get C. Can they compete for B, or are they going to opt to overextend towards A? It does look like they have multiple players moving towards that elevator, unfortunately. Respectful, I believe, was respawning over towards that side of the map, and Legends, he's found 2, 3 dead for NaVi. And this is the moment, right? These are one of those moments in this game that's going to happen. NaVi are going to be at a deficit here. How can they break this setup? How quickly will they be able to? And with Camo coming up in 10 seconds, the snowball could get much bigger and much quicker if they're not able to get kills.
The first pick so important in this engagement. It's gone the way of Acend. As Respectful fries the face of 1 and 2 members go down for NaVi. It's so important. They do not let the point slip away too quickly. They have to make the right decisions, and they have to make them quickly and together. But the Slays have gone against them, but Camouflage still sits down low, but Respectful fires Kimbo once more. Makes it 2 onto zMightys. This is big trouble.
And this is where it gets ugly. All of a sudden, it's a trip cap. Acend doing what they do best. There's this shock rifle player popping off. Legends finding kills with Camo. They're split spawning him from pipes over to C, and that's a big kill for ZMightys to release some of the pressure. 2 Foxy matches that with 1 of his own. Can they get a kill on the Sica and potentially cap Beak? Because this is where you can flip the trip cap on his head. You're able to get 3 dead. All of a sudden, they're going to be spawning towards elevator. They know that, and Zmightys trying to be aggressive with sword now has got to help his teammate secure B. So they got out of the trip cap, only 100 points, but unfortunately, B gets reset. Somehow Kimbo gets taken down, and now all of a sudden, maybe an overextension and an opening opportunity from NaVi spells for Acend to once again gain control.
They managed to stop the trip cap, but for how long? It's already cost them 113 points, that initial hold that Acend had. But they're about to lock it in again, and it's locked in tight. NaVi are on the ropes, and they need to find the answers.
So tough. Acend have just been able to do this so often. Even at the end of Halo 5, we saw some similar stronghold performances from them, and NaVi still without an answer. Kimbo just gets the plasminate to the face. It's an insta, and the BR shots from Jimbo, they're good, but just not enough resources for NaVi to take advantage of the situation. They are going to be able to transfer C over, as Legend with a couple of kills is forced to slow it down, but still in control of the map. Legend with 0 bullets in his BR. Not a lot of work he's going to be able to do until he reloads, but a camo in the favor of NaVi, but it's going to be more than a camo that brings him back into this one.
2 Foxy gets the opening pick, but Respectful answers back. Now the Slaves have gone in their favor, but Snipedrone positioned on top bat ledge. Clears out 1. Can he take down a former teammate of his? But no. He is shut down. A and B will remain in Acend control, and they now look to lock in C. It gets traded out, but all this time you can keep trading A and C all the live long day, Wes, but Acend continue to score.
Yeah, Acend just continuing to run away with it, and the shock rifle combines onto both those players, making it a very easy kill across the map. 4 dead for NaVi. They're jumping into A, and that means the trip cap is going to be in effect again. When it rains, it pours, and when the shock hits one, it hits others when they're spawning together like that. And unfortunately, NaVi can't even get C. Look at the amount of pressure that Acend are able to apply. They realize the situation perfectly. You got a long haul spawn. You're gonna have to go C. Well, we're gonna push through it. We're gonna split spawn your teammates over towards B. And now 1's in control and 2 are at elevator. And in the meantime, Acend just continuing to use this advantage to push this to a 248 to 26 mark. All they need is reset at this point.
Dominant, clinical, as Acend do what they so often do. They win in winners finals 3-1, but Wes, that game, it wasn't close. It was men against boys at times.
That Strongholds game type, I mean, it's Ascend's best, right? Ever since Halo 5, those guys towards the end of Halo 5 really defined the Stronghold meta in the European scene. They grabbed everything they could from that Cloud9 bag and they put it into their own bag of tricks. And Acend, I mean, it's a masterclass, right? You get an advantage. How do you continue to push your advantages? The split spawns are so crucial, and you have to figure out ways to trade if you're NaVi, and it's almost impossible, right? Like, I mean, Kimbo dying to the plasma nade is like exactly a perfect way. Not only are you dying to like nades that you don't get to scavenge for, you're dying to shock rifle players that are holding angles, waiting for you to play and peek, and it's just a massive snowball that it's almost difficult to stop. And Sica with 3,600 damage, the most in the lobby on a redemption from game 3. It might have been a poor statistical performance from him in game 3, but if there's anything you know about Sica, he's gonna fall off some games in stats, but then there's other games statistically where he's gonna be the best in the lobby, hands down.
Talk about where the game swung. It was that respectful play, that double kill with the shock rifle, and the shock rifle continued to play an influential part in this series, in this game, excuse me, as Sica continued to crank the pressure, and he, like you say, he bounced back in that game. But Kimbo, he had one to forget, going 2 and 13, and against Acend, Wes, you can't put up them numbers and be successful.
No, you can't. You can't have a bad game. I've always said, like, as an underdog competing, you can't afford to have a bad game. You really can't. You can't afford to lose close games. You can't afford to play bad once. You have to come in there and be on fire at all times. So when you're playing against a team that you consider to be better than you at the time, to create an upset, you have to come to play. And unfortunately, NaVi, they looked good in game 3, but it was only game 3 that they looked good in. They got to figure out a way to be consistent across the best of 5 at a high level in order to create this upset. They haven't figured out that formula yet.
Well, NaVi make it competitive, but the score is 3-1. Lottie, Dan, they huffed and they puffed, but Acend remains strong.